My name is Barefoot Pookie, co-founder of the West Side Crips. During the civil rights movement, it wasn't too much street violence going on with gangs. You know, the businessmen, the gladiators, and they were pretty much local gangs until you got the Big Munson who started the East Side avenues. Most of them was jailhouse, street fighters, and they would come to the West Side and turn out the dances, the Tom Cross record hops, and all that. And that's what Raymond came out of. You got the dips, right there 120 between 120 and Imperial, Southwest College. The projects and all that used to come through there and take bikes and do all that kind of stuff. They made us what we are. But at the time, we were baby boom, in the baby boom era, we were still evolving now. You had some, we were still evolving. We wasn't as matured as the Munsons and all them, the gangs that came out right after the 60s, the early 60s, And that's why we got our being notorious from them. We were a reflection of that, We were still evolving in the 60s, through elementary level, middle school, and high school, we were still evolving. But they had already been from the east side, in and out of jail, the avenue, the jailhouse buff. They come to the sportsman hops in the 70s, early 70s, where all the west side neighborhoods, teens would come, once a month, and they come and turn it out. And the sportsman park board, the gangs they had then, they wasn't that tough. Even the Brims controlled downtown area because it was too remote for the east side and the west side, the Compton gangs. It wasn't until the 70s that we, took to downtown. Blacks started moving up, better jobs, better homes, better schools. You come off the east side, you move to the west side, and better houses, better jobs, better schools. I went to 59th, I went to Hyde Park, I went to Manhattan, I went to Century Park, I went to Henry Clay, I went to Horace Mann. Horace Mann is my mother's school. I went to Gompers for a little minute, then I went to Washington, then I went to Dorsey. In the summer of 1970, I walked around barefooted, and my calluses got about that thick. So what I did, I added that into my entourage of fighting, and it became successful for me. So instead of me wearing shoes to school, wearing shoes to social events, whether I be suited and booted tailored down, I still was barefoot. In 1971, early 1971, we called ourselves the Smacks, a neighborhood gang, street fighting gang. And we defended our neighborhood from Denver Lanes and other local gangs around. We went to Henry Clay, and one day Lonnie Keelan and Michael Christian, who were Inglewood Crips, and Lonnie Keelan, who was the cousin of Raymond Washington, had moved to Monroe Junior High in Inglewood and started the Inglewood Crips. The conflict with them led us to that following Sunday, to have a meeting with Raymond Washington. And Ray Washington came to the Rio show, and we were all there from the 60s to the 80s to the 100s. Horace Mann, Henry Clay, all the neighborhoods from Gardenia all the way down to Sloss. Raymond Washington stood outside the show. Him and Verdi Swan, another original East Side Crips, he stood outside the show. And so during intermission time, we all went out and we saw him, And there had been a lot of guys that had migrated from the east side that knew of him and knew he was a Crip, So after the intermission, we all went back, sit down. Ray Washington came in and asked who was the Smacks. So we all stood up. I remember like it was yesterday. Mike Conception, Melvin Hardy, you got number one from the east side, Eki, you got Verdi Swan, Raymond Washington, Eugene, you got Big Craig Craddock, rest in peace. And myself, Melvin Hardy, a couple of the Moody brothers, Mike Conception, Johnny Burnett, Ron Burnett.
Tookie wasn't part of this meeting?
No, he hadn't got out yet. He was still incarcerated. He hadn't got out yet. He got out right after that. Right after that, you know. He asked who our leader was. At the time, we had a leader by the name of, what was his name? Larry. But anyway, in the process of Raymond Washington talking, where Mike Conception said, man, we don't need to fight, let's join together. So what we did, we chose a meeting that Monday, that following day at Washington at 5 o'clock. And from there on, we were considered the original West Side Crips. We made them create the first gang squad at Lenox Police Station with Jerome, Ken Bell, and all them. I attended Washington High from 71 all the way to 70, 72. Monkey Man, Blackie, Big Took, everybody hung around up. Mostly everybody hung around up there. Bulldog, Bam Bam, Mike Conception, Louis Conception. Man, it was some everybody. Then 73, it was Dorsey. Yeah, Japanese there. Yeah, but it was kind of like mixed. You know, we were moving in, we were migrating towards that way because they had the jungles too. You know, and they wasn't as deep as T. Rogers hadn't really put his foot down. You know, but he was known. You know, because just the other day I was just talking to a Monkey Man and the Nephew Raymond Cook and all of them, and they was talking about Tookie and Buddha and Buddha, rest in peace, how they was looking for T. Rogers back in the early 70s. Cute 102, Kitchen Crips, Four Trays, all of them came around the same time. Me and Raymond, when Raymond came over here from the east side, we hung out together. I introduced him to women, you know. Matter of fact, he told some girls one time that me and him was the leader of the Crips. You know, me and Mike Conception were very tight. We called it Murder Beef together. One of the first Murder Beefs in 1972, right after the Palladium murder. So we were real tight. Tookie, after 1973, like I say, he moved back to Compton. No, matter of fact, Raymond and I talked to Jackie. Jackie was one of the big guys that hang around with Tookie. Who would come to the events, social events that would be profiling with him all the time. And he was saying that Tookie was trying to get big so he can go up against Raymond. Because Raymond was a hog, he was a fighter, he was an undisputed leader. Period. Well, we attended a lot of social events, you know, and the Brims were the first. But since they were so remote from our location, our hoods, you know, we didn't really get into them until later on. You know, they joined up with the Van Ness boys, the Van Ness Brims, to no avail. They came all together, you know, to go up against us. We had the chain gang, you know, the chain gangs, which turned into the families. The family, Jan Brewer, and all them guys were original Crips. They used to run with Mike Conception down in Henry Clay, you know, and he turned family, you know. We had Sportsman Park boys, we had rivalries with them, you know. Those rivalries were to establish our turf and our boundaries. And that was in 1971. We had Sportsman Park boys, we had rivalries with them, you know. Those rivalries were to establish our turf and our boundaries. And that was in 1971. When we started fighting, killing each other, we looked up and bam. The killings came in like 75, 76, you know, at 76, 77, you know. The second generation after us. You know, the chain gangs, they were so-so, you know. The Denver Lanes, they were tough. The bounty hunters, they were tough, you know. Let's see, the outlaws, you know, they liked the gun, they were tough. You know, all those established games. You know, we pay attention to the families at first. The families, mostly the families, chain gangs, because they were so close. Our borderline is Van Ness between them and us. Now it went to Crenshaw, you know. But if you can't cross, if you're a West Side Crip and you cross Van Ness and you go too deep towards Crenshaw, you know, like the shopping center on Crenshaw and Imperial, you know, it's not safe havens over there. You know, you got to be ready. Well, in 1973, I just came home from Kansas City. I was on out-of-state release for a murder beat that happened in 1972. Underground Crips started in 1973. We used to party at a house that had a basement. We called it Underground. So we decided to start the West Side off as the Underground Crips. We started from Manhattan all the way to Buttline with the alliance with Monkey Man, who had already lived on Buttline on that side of town. So everyone during that time that was Crippin' was UG and Block. We started the Godfather Crips behind Sportsman Park in the 90s to fight with the Sportsman Park boys and the Inglewood families. We took Sportsman Park, we took the Fifth Avenue show and the Academy show. We took all of that during that time that we were Godfathers. In 1973, we joined Harlem Godfathers. Shotgun, original Crip, still living today. He pronounced that they had guns. You know, we needed some guns. You know, this is before Big James Miller got out. You know, we went down there, you know, to talk with them and possibly, you know, get some of them guns. And we ended up, you know, liking each other, coming together. Harlem Godfathers. Second Avenue, that was Dennis Johnson's house. That was our hangout, Second Avenue in Jefferson. The Marvins were in that vicinity, you know. We created a relationship with them through another member and their members, and we just came together, you know. They worked with us. They already established a turf, you know, so we helped them maintain it. I went to jail in '74. Big James, he went to the prison. He went to jail. He got out, went right back for a double murder, him and Kenny Robinson. So, you know, that caused, when I came home, they wanted me to start it back, get everything back together, you know, but I decided not to. After the Godfathers, I started the neighborhood Insane Payback Crips, and that was in 1975, in '74.
Where were these gangs located at?
Right there in the neighborhood, the first neighborhood they called, the first neighborhood, right there on 108th, right off Western on Manhattan Street. We started there, and we grew to Gardenia, and from Gardenia we grew to Long Beach as the Insane Payback Crips. I stopped gang banging after the Paybacks. After that was the last set I claimed, Insane Paybacks. 1975, 76. 1979, I just got out of prison myself, and I was trying to get my life together, get my own self together, you know, in a positive way, you know, in a very positive way. We had our own card. We had our own Crip card, the original Crip card, and it consisted of Compton, West Side, whoever, as long as you was a Crip. We even had some Bloods in there. We had Big Red from the family. I got prison in '78. I maintained who I was, but the CCO and the Blue Notes, all that came afterward. James Cunningham, his nickname is Cuz, and the relationship that he had with the rest of his neighborhood gangs, we took that name, used it, called each other Cuz, you know, that's what we felt about each other. We had that type of relationship about each other, you know, Cuz, you know. Back in the '60s, it was blood, you know, so we felt, you know, Cuz was cool. It was cool, you know, so we called each other Cuz. We all cousins. This is my cousin here. Hey, Cuz, what's up, you know. There's always been the historical war with the Hoovers from the beginning. You know, that's why we started 10-7 and UGs, because the Hoovers, after their meetings, you know, they would try to mob across Vermont, then across Normandy into across our borderline, you know, and that's why we started 10-7 and UGs. But Bam Bam, who joined up with Bulldog in 1973. Bam Bam was from 9 Deuce, and Bulldog was from 7-4 Hoover. They joined together, and with that collaboration, they start pushing the line past the borderline of the original West Sides. In 1972, Raymond, Bull, and Bam Bam were all in Tracy together. So they had planned to come together, you know, once they got out anyway. They had planned this. Bulldog was the first Crip to go to jail in 1969 for the first murder. When he came home, you know, he came home pushing the line with Hoover. Him and Bam Bam joined together, you know. No, first there were Von Zeller Crips with Raymond Cook, and then Infu. Then there was 7-4, 9 Deuce. Then they expanded across our borderline, which was Vermont, to Buttline with 10-7 Hoovers. 5 Deuce, all these are new booty. 5-9. 5-9 used to be a brim. They took over from the brim. That was the original hood. 5-9 brims. You know, that was the original hood. You know what the 40s was? Harlem Godfathers. And that's why when they said they coming together and they got this peace treaty, well, you were together in the beginning. It's Harlem Godfathers. You know what I'm saying? So just like everybody was UGs, everybody was Harlem Godfathers, you know. And then the gang that came out of that, since we took Crenshaw, you know, 60s came out of that, we made a way. You know, we vanguarded, we made a way. You know, chitty chitty bang bang, Crips don't die, they multiply, Crip or die. Quote Ren Washington, unquote.